Hey guys, what's up? It's Heather with the Mosco, and today I wanted to take a few minutes to talk about the different ways to start seeds. So, seed starting can be real expensive, and it doesn't necessarily have to be. So I wanted to show you first a couple ways that I've started seeds, and then just in my research of how to start seeds and seed starting setups, what I've seen and learned. So we're gonna start, and this is gonna be real, y'all, because my garage is a hot mess. It's a hot mess. It's always a hot mess. You can't ever find anything. But I wanna show you what I got going in there. So here, among the piles of stuff, this is how it really looks, is my seed starting setup. First of all, these three here are dahlias that were pre-sprouting. But these are my AeroGardens, and I showed you last year how I started seeds in my AeroGardens, but I didn't even have enough room for that. So I had these egg cartons. I cut holes in the bottom of them, and I just stuck some seeds in there. And the only light that they're getting, I could turn these on, but it's from these AeroGardens, and that should really be down. It's not perfect, okay? They're probably reaching for light. They're gonna get leggy. They're not gonna be perfect, but this is what we're working with. And it does a pretty good job. Most of these are my vegetables. So there's some flower plants in here, but you can get a good number of vegetables started this way. I started with this because I already had AeroGardens. And since I already had AeroGardens, I was gonna go ahead and use those light systems to start seeds. It's worked for me great the last couple years. The only downside is that you do have to harden off the seedlings, and that's less than fun, and it's kind of limited on space. But other than that, those water containers have actual, let me see if I can show you here, like backup water containers, and it is this thing right here. And it will refill itself, fertilize it every 2 weeks, so it's pretty hands-off. It does a pretty good job. So I really do enjoy those if you're looking for a way where you don't have to stand here and water the seeds every day. I do come down here and spray these egg cartons every day with this sprayer, which is also what we use to keep cool when we're at Disney. But it works, and it's what we had. The other way, because this wasn't enough to start all of my seeds this year that I've started seeds, and I have this on my channel, is winter sowing. So let's go take a look at that. So out here is where we have all of our winter sowing going. Most of it has survived pretty well. The benefits to this being that, especially for cold season, there's not a lot of money involved. It has survived a couple of really good cold weather snaps, except for this one. This one is not doing so hot. Probably need to replant that here in the next day or so. But also we've got these giant containers here that I've used for winter sowing, and they're doing fairly well. Some of the things haven't been doing as great as others, but for the most part, we've got germination on quite a number of things. So that's pretty good. And this, again, you don't have to harden it off. It's really low investment. It's cheap and easy, very accessible for people. I see people put these out in the snow. They really do well. But you're a little bit more limited too on which type of seeds you should be using for that project. The other thing that I did this year, and I almost did it on accident, I would say, and this probably needs some water, is these sweet pea seeds. So I soaked these the appropriate amount of time and then totally forgot about them. And instead of losing them, I thought I would just put them on a wet paper towel and germinate them that way and then plant them in the ground. And that worked out pretty well for me as well. So now that I've shown you how I've set up seeds, let me talk about a few other ways that you can start seeds. So obviously you can get seed trays and grow lights. I think that's the most common way that people start seeds. There are grow lights that range from really expensive systems that you can get as a Gardener's Supply or something like that, that come with the lights in them, and then you can put a fan on your seedlings, and that is great. That's a higher end option. It's a lot of money investment, but if you're doing it all the time and you know you want to do it all the time, might be a good way to invest your money. I think it's easier to adjust the lights. Then you can go all the way down to buying some lights from Amazon. They're $20, and just having a seed tray and tending to it yourself. There are a lot of people that make seed trays, seed starting cups out of Solo cups and toilet paper rolls, anything like that. So you could start inside with trays and lights. The higher end version would be you buying a system from one of the major companies. The lower end version would be getting something from Amazon or getting shop lights. What is her name? North Lawn Flower Farm, Danielle, has a great video on her website or on her YouTube channel about how to, and I'll link it down below, how to use shop lights. And if I were gonna get a lighting system, that's probably what I would go with. I think she spends around $30, maybe a little more per lighting system, and puts it on a baker's rack, and saves a lot of money by doing it that way. And it totally works for her. I have had clear Tupperware containers and egg cartons in front of a window before. So there's all kinds of different ways to start seeds. Now the benefits are the more controlled the environment, the better the chance of germination, the better your germination rate is going to be. So if I direct seed something into the ground, that is going to be the least likely to get the most germination. If I start it under lights where I've controlled for the temperature, I've put it on a heat mat, I've used lights, I've put a fan on it, I'm going to have the most germination out of that. So you kind of have to decide what level of investment you want to do. If you want to be a really high-end investment, because maybe you've got some seeds that were really expensive and you want a lot of plants, maybe it's worth spending the money on the high-end light system that's got a permanent area in your home. Whereas for me, I'm always like, well, but I could buy another hydrangea for that. So I'm like, I'm going to try these seeds an alternative method, try to get them started. If I lose some of them, half of them, I'm okay with that. So you kind of have to just account for what you're going for. I think the biggest thing I would look out for is if you are interested in growing things, do not let the cost of lighting systems and starting seeds, do not let it intimidate you or discourage you from starting to grow things. Again, with my sweet pea seeds that look just fine, maybe need a little water. Okay, they need a little water. I literally put them in a wet paper towel on a windowsill in a Ziploc baggie, and I've got seeds. Some things are easier to germinate than others, but just try it. A seed packet is somewhere between $2 and $5, depending on what you get. If you're buying seeds in mass and you're flower farming and you need to make sure you have a crop, then you need to spend a little bit more money to ensure that stuff's going to come up. But if you're just at home trying to grow stuff and hopefully get some cut flowers and some vegetables and some fruits, try a whole bunch of stuff by a whole different bunch of methods. Winter sowing, we'll circle back to winter sowing. All kind of methods I've seen just in winter sowing. Some people only winter sow their cold hardy things. Some people winter sow everything, and then if it gets below 40, they bring in the non-cold tolerant things like tomatoes and peppers. So they know their tomatoes and peppers are out there, they watch the forecast. If it's going to be below 40 that night, they go ahead and bring them inside, and then they put them out the next day. So they don't need those lights, they don't need the lighting systems, they can stay low budge, but they're going to have to be carrying them in and out and keeping an eye on the weather. Some people will, I have seen, instead of doing the jugs that then you have to cut and tape and all that, they'll do gallon-sized Ziploc baggies, and they'll put like a long rod through them to hold them up. So they'll winter sow in the Ziploc baggie, same way that you would do the other. I would question how movable that is, so if you were doing that for a non-cold weather, you might want to consider that. So even within winter sowing, some people winter sow everything, some people winter sow only the cold hardy, some people winter sow for experimentation. And then when it comes to under lights indoors, you need to consider that once you've got it grown on, you're going to have to start bringing it out and acclimating it to the weather before you plant it outside. Nothing like not acclimating it and it fries like a freaking chicken in there. I mean, just... and it's done. You come out and it's brown. You're like, is it even there? I don't even see it. So you need to keep those things in mind. But there are a bunch of different methods for starting your seeds. Not all of them are super involved. I don't have a really clean glow room. What is this, a rave? Grow room to put my things in. I use a mixture of what I can find, which is a mixture of winter sowing. A lot of things that I'm going to direct sow, which I think I may have lost some, but a lot of things that I'm going to direct sow, a lot of things that, you know, I'm going to put in jugs or containers. So the moral of the story is, what I'm trying to say is, don't let lack of light system or the right tray keep you from starting seeds. Seeds can be started in a multitude of ways, just because what you have going isn't perfect. So it's not perfect that I lost some of my hibiscus. It's not perfect that my grow lights are so high. They might get a little leggy, but I would have no plants or leggy plants. So just keep that in mind. Just because your setup isn't perfect, it's not worth trying. You could always make it better later if that's what you want to do, but I would still try it. So that's going to be it for me in this video. I just wanted to give a rundown on, I have been doing a lot of research this year on how to start seeds, what seeds to start where, how to do winter sowing, and there's a lot of conflicting information out there. And I think there's a lot of conflicting information about a lot in gardening because we all do things a little different. Everybody's situation is different. Everybody's area to grow in is different. Everybody's struggles in the garden are different. And so we do a lot of different things based upon what works for us. And you just kind of have to play around and find out what works for you. And the only way to know that is by doing. And you shouldn't let lack of funds or lack of setup or not having the perfect thing stop you from getting going. Because we're all in here just gardening together. And somebody's going to be like, I cannot believe she's got her plants out here looking like this. But it is what it is. But we're growing things and we're enjoying it. So I just wanted to share with you all the knowledge that I had obtained by researching seed systems and starting seeds. And so thank you guys so much for watching. Comment below how you start your seeds, what works for you, what doesn't work for you, so that everybody can share and gather from it. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you in the next video. Bye.